You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and today we're going to dive into what to me is an underrated Night Demon classic, and a bit of a departure from Night Demon's usual sound, but like a classic nonetheless. This is Save Me Now.
Save Me Now. I still love this song. This, at the time, was a bit of a departure from the sound we were doing, what would be known as classic Night Demon style.
This song is a bit of a departure from, I would say, the norm of the Night Demon catalog. It's a pretty straightforward rock and roll kind of Scorpions-ish. Just sort of a pop metal song, I guess, really hooky chorus. It's really one of my favorite songs from the band's catalog. It's just like, to me, I always thought that would have been a hit if that came out in the 80s or something like that, or in the times when rock radio was still alive. If it actually got out there, could have been a huge, huge song. I'm kind of surprised it's not a bigger favorite amongst the fans, but, hey, it is for me. So whenever we get a chance to play it, I'm always game for that.
I wrote this song, I believe, in early or mid 2013. So kind of when Brent and I had decided to actually make Night Demon a legitimate band when John Criara joined, and we were trying to write songs for what would become our first full-length album, Curse of the Damned. And I remember at the time just trying to write as many riffs as I can, different moods, different feels, but this one was quite the departure. I haven't really thought about it, 10 plus years later, but I suppose at the time, with a song like this, we were already making an effort to expand ourselves as far as not just having a straight, complete new wave of British heavy metal or thrashy kind of speed metal sound. I like looking back, I kind of think that, obviously we have evolved over time musically, but I never really took into account that we were already starting to do this on our first record. So it's pretty cool to look back on this track and really feel that we were already going to another place. mean, the vibe of the song is more of an AOR kind of feel, which, it stands for album-oriented rock. I don't know who came up with that term or when, but it definitely has more of that AOR, almost like a poppy kind of feel. And, compared to the rest of the album, it definitely stands apart. As far as it being the album closer, that was done intentionally. I think that back then we were really concerned with fans listening to our music in sequence. We were really, the sequence of an album is still obviously very important to us. But I think back then especially, we kind of felt that when people would grab the Night Demon EP, they would do it in the same way that they would with the first album, which is, who are these guys? This is some cool artwork. Maybe I've heard a little bit of buzz about the band, or, hey, it's a new heavy metal band, I'm going to check it out. We weren't counting on having any, radio hits or anything like that to suck people in. So the sequence of the album was super important, and we made sure that, we didn't, when we take the listener on the journey of Curse of the Damned, that we're not, this is not going to be the first track of the record. This isn't going to be something that's representative of the band as a whole. This is not, as much as I love this song, it's not really the first impression that we were trying to give. So as far as it being a closer, we kind of thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if we take the listener, this first-time listener really, on this really action-packed heavy metal journey. And then at the end of the album, we bring it down a bit and close it out with this. Instead of something that you have, like a classic Metallica album, maybe like you have this big epic instrumental. It's not really along those lines.
Yeah, just a nice little backbeat, just simple freaking chords, chugging through the chorus. The verse, big chorus chords.
It's kind of one of those things that, when I wrote the song, we all knew it was really catchy and it was pretty good. And so it's not what you would expect at the end of the album, but we really wanted the listener to have a really good feeling when they finished the album. And this made more sense than something like Killer or Full Speed Ahead, something like that. And this ended up being a tradition after this, on Darkness Remains. The title track, Darkness Remains, is the final song of the album. And that's a ballad. It's an epic ballad. On Outsider, it's the Wrath. The Wrath sums up the story of Outsider, but that is our most epic song to date, and ends with a soothing ballad kind of part, or maybe haunting, not soothing, or maybe a little bit of both. But that's been pretty much, Save Me Now was the birth of that tradition. After that, we consciously wanted to put, you know, to end the very last part of a Night Demon album, not with our softer side, I would say, but with kind of a more moody side, to really close it out and to really leave the listener with, you know, some heavy emotion. The writing of this song, well, I wrote 100% of this song, music and lyrics. There are some songs, I think, you know, The Chalice, Ancient Evil on the EP, where I kind of did the same. And I think for reasons like that, I mean, I love the collaborative process with the band. I mean, there's nothing better than having collaborators that really takes your music to where it needs to be. You know, I have no ego when it comes to stuff like that. But sometimes when you're very focused and you get in the mode and you're just drawn to a riff that you've come up with or an idea that you've come up with, that you just stick with it until it's done, and you really just have that just flowing through your veins and through your soul, and you're really determined to just get to the finish line, and not necessarily quickly, although I find that the songs that I write 100% myself, they do come a lot quicker than the other ones. And, you know, maybe the reason that the other ones don't come as quickly is because I've run out of ideas, or I've hit a roadblock or a dead end in a certain piece of music. And, you know, I do need to lean on the other band members for their input in order to make it a complete song. I do remember at the time, okay, so I'll reveal a poser moment for myself. I'll embarrass myself here. So it was 2013. It had to have been early in the year. I didn't have a place to live. I was living at my dad's. My dad was cool enough to let me move in with him. I had just quit my long-term job and decided to go full on into Night Demon. And, you know, no matter what happens, I have to put everything into this. And I went down to Salzer's Records, our local record store, which is still here, been around since the 60s. And they had a great used vinyl section. And for some reason, I mean, the internet in 2013 was alive and well. eBay had been around for, you know, and popular for a good 15 plus years. You know, you had stores like Amoeba down in Hollywood and Mad Platter and like all these big record stores out here. They would buy used records and they would have a whole wall of stuff, and they would price it like at market price or even higher sometimes. You know, a lot of vintage records are worth a lot more than they were when they first came out because, you know, of the rarity of it all, and they're highly collectible. But for some reason, you know, when Salzer's was putting out records, used records, they weren't doing that. I mean, they were just pricing them as like what they thought a used record should be. I don't know. They weren't really researching this stuff. So, I mean, for the buyer, I mean, it was like a gold mine. So this was kind of like a secret of ours, you know, as a band. I mean, we weren't telling everybody, hey, go to this record store. And, you know, because there's a lot of people that, you know, will go to stores just to find these gems just so they can resell them. You know, it's like they don't give a shit about the music. So our drummer at the time, John Criar, was managing the store. He had worked there for, almost 20 years. And that was like his life, you know. I mean, his career was there at Salzer's. Salzer's always had a great vibe. I mean, I had bought my first records there as a kid, and it was the cool place to go and hang out. It was a just giant record store, very nicely merched. It was one of the bigger stores as well. I mean, as far as, you know, they had everything. They did new releases. They had in stores and artists come in. It was and still is a very, very legitimate store. It wasn't messy. It wasn't, you know, they had it on lockdown. Anyway, you know, I would go in there and I'd find Fright Night's my favorite horror movie. I was always looking for the soundtrack on vinyl. $150 on eBay. It was $7 used in the Salzer's rack. It was amazing. So one day I was in there after the formation of Night Demon, and I found the second album by the band Demon, The Unexpected Guest. And so a lot of people still to this day ask me, did you come up with the name Night Demon? Like, is it named after the band Demon, their first album and their title track on that album, Night of the Demon? And the truth is, no, our band is not named after that. I didn't even know about that band before we started Night Demon. So that's my poser moment, right? Everybody should know that. Well, it was a blessing in disguise, because I went and found this album, the Demon album, the second album, The Unexpected Guest, at Salzer's in the used bin for like $6. And the cover was awesome. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Like, yeah, I'll spend $6 on this, even though I was poor. Like, I need to hear this. And so I took it home, and I was just completely blown away. And I was like, how have I never heard this or even heard of this album? So I was a Demon fan overnight, and I played the shit out of that record. Then I went and got the first record, Night of the Demon, and played the shit out of that one. Then I got the third album, The Plague, and did not play the shit out of that one. This band had, their first two albums they just knocked me on my ass. The third album, The Plague, they just decided to go into a total prog rock direction. And it was, I've nothing against prog rock, but it was just not, it did not have the spirit or the hooks or anything that the first two records have. The first two records are basically pop albums with dark and evil lyrics. It's like, I had never really heard anything like that before. You'd almost think it's a bit of a parody. But I mean, they are just some of the best crafted songs I've ever heard in my life. To this day, I'm still just completely enamored by those two albums. They're total perfection in my eyes. It would be hard for me to find a band that has their first two albums, I mean, really as good, as locked down as these guys. The imagery, the lyrics, everything. Some of these songs, you would think, like, if you change the lyrics, it could be like a Bryan Adams song or a Rick Springfield song or something like that. I've always been a fan of that kind of early mid-'80s pop rock when it really rocks, and this stuff does rock. The guitar solos are incredible. Just the sense of melody on these records, it's just really second to none. So, I mean, I was really just listening to this stuff over and over again and going, man, I mean, Ghost had come out at the time, and, I was kind of also getting a sense of like, hey, look, you can have more melody, and you can be a little more pop oriented if you want, and still, like have dark imagery and, stuff about Satanism and all this. But this was a whole different thing. And this was stuff that had happened 30 plus years before this time period. And it was far above and beyond anything that was happening in the current era. And I really gravitated towards it.
Lock up your doors and get off the streets. If you fear for the reaper of souls, how they say when he rides, he never returns.
So I was listening to this stuff so much that I think just naturally I just started, writing more kind of AOR pop oriented rock, just straight rock riffs that were just catchy, and it was just fun, and I was just doing it subliminally, and it was like I didn't feel that there was a stigma around it anymore when it came to Night Demon. So that's how Save Me Now came about. It was very much like, it probably could have been a Demon song on one of those first two records. At least it would have been acceptable if it was on, Night of the Demon or The Unexpected Guest. I'll also say that there's a classic film called Night of the Demon that is incredible. It's an amazing film, and I'm sure that's where the band got that title.
It has been written since the beginning of time that evil, supernatural creatures exist in a world of darkness. And it is also said, man can call forth these powers of darkness, the demons of hell.
It is the night of the demon.
Skeptical? Don't make up your mind till you see this masterpiece of macabre magic. Because, after all, evil, supernatural creatures really do exist.
I actually met Dave Hill, the singer of Demon. We played with them at Rock Hard Festival, and he was super, super cool. I did not ask him that question, though. There is also a remake of the movie, and it's fun, but the storyline is completely different, and it's nowhere near as good. So if you can find the black and white original, I highly recommend watching that. It's an incredible film.
Cool demos. You can hear basically from the beginning of this song that, Jarvis had all these parts figured out and kind of written. The solos, the leads, very, very much a one-man thing. Pretty cool. I think it's one of his best moments in composition.
So here's a demo of me just playing the guitar and bass. There's no drums, there's no vocal, anything like that. I recorded this to a click track. My good friend Ron Baldwin recorded this for me. My technical skills, especially back then, were nil. And I just wanted to record the riffs to a click track that I could give to our drummer, John Criar. This song is in, a mid-tempo feel that we were not used to doing. John was a very punk rock drummer, and just wanted to give him something to kind of listen to and get the feel to, something that he can kind of practice to, so that when we went into the rehearsal room, he was kind of familiar with the tune and the tempo, really. So that's kind of like the first recording of how I did this. And it all kind of developed from there. This next demo is one that we recorded in our small rehearsal room at the time. So it's John Criar on drums, Brent Woodward on rhythm guitar, myself on bass. So that was recorded live, just those three instruments on just a little digital recorder. It just had like a stereo room mic. And I ended up dumping that into a recording program that comes for free on the computer called GarageBand, and just tried to find my way around it. I didn't know really anything about recording. So I laid down some vocals, kind of the first half of the first verse, and put down some of what I thought were the skeletons of the guitar solos. You can also hear like little keyboard stabs in there. There's just some built-in digital organ here in the software. So I was kind of toying with the idea, like, at that point I thought, man, this song really needs some organ in it, something bigger than what the three-piece band offers. It's really that kind of a track. So here's how the song is starting to develop a lot more.
I hear a voice screaming in the night, a desperate cry from the grave. Every breathing, nothing is in sight. Save me now, cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. My soul is gonna burn in flames, yeah! Save me now, cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. My soul is gonna burn in flames.
On this next one, this is what we would call the complete demo, with the title Save Me Now, in parentheses, Tanith. So the lyrical content of this was based on a novel by the name of Tanith by Jack D. Shackelford. It's an old 70s occult novel. And so this demo, it's still the same track from the three of us and Brent just playing the rhythms in the rehearsal room. This time I had fleshed out the vocals, a little more of the vocal melody, what would resemble the final. Also, my guitar solos are on here. There's still a little bit of that organ stuff in there. And yeah, this is feeling really good here. There's a full-fledged song here.
hear a voice screaming in the night, a desperate cry from the grave. Heavy breathing, nothing is in sight. I try to make my escape. Madness takes over my mind. I'm going insane. In the dark corners you will find the questions remain. Save me now, 'cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. My soul is gonna burn in flames, yeah! I hear the masses burning down the woods, only time I can borrow. Oh, high priestess, say those ancient words, Rey Oscuro, tome tu trono. Stab that dagger through my heart, then go to hell. I am the one who wears the mark, I know you can tell. Save me now, 'cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. My soul is gonna burn in flames. Save me now, 'cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. My soul is gonna burn in flames. Save me now, 'cause I'm losing all control. Save me now, death is knocking at my door. Save me now, Lucifer has got a hold. Save me now, 'cause I'm losing all control.
And it was at this point that I remember, kind of just taking this home and really taking the time to work out these guitar solos. As I said, my recording skills are very poor, so I really never learned the ability to punch in. So a lot of this, all of it's really just one take. I kind of had to get the solos right and play them over and over again. There's still obviously some mistakes in there, but look, I'm not the guitar player of the band, so I wasn't. And again, it's for demo purposes. But listening back years later, there's definitely a charm to it, and it takes me right back to that moment. And I'm just at my dad's house, just shredding away on this Telecaster guitar, which is not a very metal guitar, but it's got a cool sound to it. And this was a really fun demo. And I remember when I sent it off to the guys, Brent called me right away and he said, "This is the best song that you've ever written." And that really made me feel really confident because we were taking a bit of a risk with this one, I think. And we were really getting out of our comfort zone to what we thought, Night Demon was at that point and was going to be. So to hear his enthusiasm after, I went to work on this song, just made me feel really good.
Well, that's it for this week and part 1 of Save Me Now. Next week, we'll hear all about the meaning behind the song. There's a lot more going on than you might think. And we'll also hear the studio recording of this track that was finished and complete, but shelved indefinitely. We'll get to hear that for the first time out of the Night Demon archives. Of course, all of these demos and alternate versions will be available in the subscriber section on nightdemon.net. More info on how you can become a subscriber on the website. Until next week, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.